That is especially true when it comes to the climate crisis, which is why we will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on to galvanize global action. With that, I thank you all. This is a matter of urgent priority for all of us, and I know we will work on this together. That is especially.
I wish she would have said something about working together. That was Vice President
I was
Kamala
unclear
Harris.
if we're supposed to work individually or if this was together kind of thing. It was not clear to me.
Oh, very, very confusing. That was her just kind of spewing some words out, apparently. It reminded us of this clip this is a clip cut by Recount with the office's Michael Scott, in which he begins a sentence and doesn't know where it will go. So let's watch that.
It's time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
To anyone,
every day it is time for us to
no matter what,
agree that
no matter
there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down. And so right now we know we still have a number of people that is in the millions of Americans who have not been vaccinated.
I don't know. Was her speechwriter gone? You know, when she was talking about all that togetherness, she was actually reading a script. So this wasn't just off the top of her head. Was her speech? Does her speechwriter have COVID? I know everyone's getting COVID these days. So is that person out? And she was like left with somebody else to write this script, and they didn't know what to say. So they just said, "This together sounds really nice. If we just talk a lot about being together."
Yeah, that's the really damning thing here, that it was written down. Who prepares a speech that says that same thing over and over again? It's one thing when she's just kind of ad-libbing, which she's terrible at, and just ends up saying the same thing over and over again in a very robotic and not human way. And that time is every day, the time to work together, I guess. But yeah. I don't know who wrote that down for her. Makes no sense.
This just continues to fuel the whole, is she going to be Biden's running mate again in 2024? Is she really going to be the pick? She's just so unliked. And Biden is getting up there in age at any, knock on wood, and I don't wish this on anybody, but, he is older and anything could happen. That is why we have we do have the vice president there to step in just in case something does happen. But that would be such a disaster, I think, for Democrats, for Kamala Harris to continue to be sitting in that role. She's so unliked, and these types of things don't help when it just seems like there's a lack of complete leadership as well.
No, absolutely. She's never brought that much to the ticket because she doesn't have like a constituency. She doesn't have a specific expertise. It was really just some box checking, some thoughtless box checking that led to her selection. I agree with you. She brings absolutely nothing. If anything, she's underperformed in the role. That said, I don't see how they could possibly replace her because she will not go quietly into that good night. She wants to be president very desperately. She knows she needs to remain on the ticket in order to do so. So they can't, I don't know how they could just shunt her aside. She would raise hell, and then it would be a whole thing, and that would be worse. Because really, whoever they have, it doesn't make that much of a difference, right? Who the vice president is matters, or who's the vice presidential pick on the ticket matters, I think, very little maybe to voters ultimately, right? Voters are going to be deciding whether they like how Biden has handled, the crises of the pandemic, the economic situation, maybe Ukraine, that kind of thing. There are so few voters who say, oh, well, I was going to vote for Biden, but it's Kamala Harris, so I'm not going to vote for her. Or like it's Amy Klobuchar, so now I am. Like that doesn't seem like that's not something you would cause a huge stir, I think, to correct, and replacing her would cause a huge stir. If they could just do it with a snap of their fingers without any drama, they probably would do it. But I just don't think that's an option.
I don't know. I think that they're going to have to, because I think that their goal is to remain in power longer than just Biden being in office. So I think what I always suspected that they wanted to do, and now I don't think they can, and they know they can't do it, is to move Biden out of office. So get him to serve 2 years, I always thought the original plan, and then make Kamala Harris, have him resign, because of his health or whatever reason, and then have Kamala Harris sitting in the Oval Office, and then they get a bunch of photographs and, of her being president of the United States and her doing some meetings here or there, so it gives her that incumbent advantage going into 2024. Obviously, that didn't work out so well. People just have not taken to Kamala Harris. I think they thought, well, they'll warm up to her, they'll like her, they will, and it's just gotten worse. But if Biden were to run again in 2024, if he were to win, then I do think that they would try to do that same plan, move him out of office.
But I don't think he would ever. No one resigns. He's not going to resign. He would run for a third term if he could. They get addicted to power and their chair, and nobody wants to leave that chair.
Does he even know he's in that chair?
Well, that's probably his. He knows he's the president. Everybody wants to remain the president for as long as possible. They would have to. I don't know how much power or sway his advisors or his chief of staff has over him, but if they say, "Yeah, we want you to resign," he'd be like, "That's whack, man," or something, with some horrible vernacular that no longer makes any sense, probably.
Yeah. Well, he said though originally when he ran for office that he would only do one term, that he was too old. I mean, he's been saying this because they've been telling him this is what you're going to do. You want to be president, we'll make you president, but this is how, and this is
politicians really like to stay in power. I mean, Chuck Grassley's going to be in his mid 90s by the time he's done with his term. Strom Thurmond died. I think he was out before he did, but he was over 100. Something like that. The Hawaiian Daniel Inouye, right, he was up there too. I mean, the average age has gone way, way, way up, but there have been some old people clinging to power. Yeah. Feinstein is not. She's lost it. That's very clear from mainstream reporting now. It's a mess, but.
Well, this doesn't help Kamala. That's our big point on this one, right?
Can she be helped, Kim? Can she be helped? New speechwriter.
A better
that would help.
Speechwriter, right? A better speechwriter. Yeah.
Anyone. You could pick a third grader. I think could write some more compelling prose than that. So, we'll remember to work together, and we're going to have more Rising after that. We'll be working together and just work together for more Rising after this. Work together.
Together.